The Politics program is brought to you, as always, by patreon.com/JURY. You get to support the show right here. Thank you guys so much. This has been an amazing year for this show. Last year at this time, I had just quit my job, and I decided to put my full faith in you guys on the internet, and largely the biggest source of growth that I saw this year was on patreon.com/JURY. 495 people are supporting this show, over $770 per episode. Man, I really can't thank you guys enough. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Again, this is a weekly thing. You guys get, I'm doing 4 shows now that I guess technically are going out under this banner. And you only pay for one of them. Only pay for the jury show. Politics is free for you. So thank you guys so much for doing it. It does mean the world to me. And thank you during these holiday seasons. You know, I can do this for the Contender and stickers or DIAF, where I can tell you that you can get sticker packs and you can get Contender stuff. But if you want it for Christmas, buy it now. Literally, buy it now. Buy it now, because it won't get there for Christmas unless you buy it right now. TheContender.us. Of course, you know, we got all the 1776 decks. Now we're sold out of the Contender Holiday Special, so that's gone. But we still do have the mini expansion mega packs. Just a great time. Go ahead and head over there. Or stickers or DIAF. You will be able to get the holiday bundle. Man, I don't know. Whatever. Enough of talking about how we pay for the show. What do you say we just do the damn thing?
Politics. Yes.
Who's ready for some politics? Welcome, everybody. You know, there are a few things that I have learned this year. And this was a year in which I did more one mic content than I've ever done in my life. One mic content is something that I've always been fascinated by, and it has been a pleasure and a journey to try to get better at a medium that I have always so respected. I want to thank you guys for going on this journey with me. I know some episodes are better than others. It has continued to be something that I've very much enjoyed getting better at. However, there have been some elements that I've had to learn the hard way, and today is one of them. For a few different reasons, my voice is kind of wrecked. I woke up today with a sore throat, not from illness, but rather just from overuse. So my voice is falling apart. And now normally, if I'm doing Night Attack, as we did last night with Brian, not the end of the world, right? Because I can talk with Brian. I can, Brian and I are great partners because either of us would be able to just talk for the whole hour by ourselves. So we have to butt in to each other's point of view to get stuff in there. Babcat says the voice sounds normal to me. I'm just going to let you know it's not. I am feeling like it is on E. So on this show, there's no recourse. There's no I don't know, maybe I could just do this or do that. I can't just be a substitute teacher and just say, you want to know what? I'm hungover. Let's just watch a movie today. We can't do that. We got to talk about politics. So, Jared Jensen says, I hear whiskey helps. Well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe at the end. Maybe I'll pull out some whiskey and we'll see if it helps. I have a bold Donald Trump prediction. It is in fact a 3-part Donald Trump prediction. I want to lay it out for you guys. I I said before during the primaries that I was out of the business of predicting what would happen with Donald Trump. And it was good that I did that, because as much as I laid out all of the real, the facts as we knew them on the ground, that Hillary Clinton was going to salsa her way to the White House on the backs. Oh, man. Remember everything we knew on September 7th? Remember the blue wall? Remember the rising Latino population that was going to turn the map inhospitable to the Republicans for the next generation? We knew so much, and yet we knew so little. And I got out of the Trump prediction game, and I'm glad that I did. I'm very glad that I did. So, I'm going to get back into the prediction game. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lay out a 3-step process that I believe will happen. And let me preface this by saying I think that the carrier deal that we saw, Donald Trump via Mike Pence's connections, making a call, making a deal in which both the company and the White House can put like their name on a press release. That's like something that he likes to do. Trump, I don't know if you picked up on this, very much enjoys, like, he doesn't want to leave the press to interpret what he's doing. He wants to make sure that his words and his spin is what goes out to the public, which is why he's obsessed with Twitter. Because this is not him talking to a reporter in print and then the print journalist deciding what they want to run and what they don't. When he tweets, everybody has to report exactly what he said, no matter what. Partly because, I mean, that's what the story is, and partly because you really don't need to put a whole lot of spin on it, because everybody can go look it up themselves if they care about Twitter. So JC Calhoun in the Twitch chat says the carrier quote-unquote deal, which won't really save many jobs and will get carrier a big tax cut. Yeah, that one. That's the one that I'm talking about. And also, for everybody who wants to nitpick it, again, is it a bad deal? Probably. Is it seen by folks who very passionately put Trump in the White House as him giving a rat's ass about them, when many politicians cared a lot before November 8th, but not a lot after November 8th? Yeah, I agree so. I mean, I think that, like, that's something that matters to people. But let's focus on the concept of what he likes to do. Donald Trump, I think, likes to do big deals with big narratives attached to them. So forget exactly what the carrier deal is. Just look at what the carrier deal says. The carrier deal says, I was with you before, I'm with you after. I'm working hard now because I'm not a government employee. I'm a private enterprise guy, and that means that work never stops. We got a lot of stuff we got to do here, America. And me, Donald Trump, while I'm rolling up my sleeves, I'm making big deals, picking up big phones, talking to big people who have big hands and big heads, and they drive big cars, and they wear big shoes. It's big, all of it. So he likes doing that. So the first thing, my first prediction, is not really a prediction at all, because they've said they're going to do this. I just believe them and believe that they're going to follow through. I believe that the first major thing that Donald Trump is going to do when he gets into office is push a massive infrastructure plan. he is going to give back to the people every bridge, every road you could possibly want. Do you want a bridge? Do you want a road? Have you ever just driven by a driven by a lake, right? And you're like, man, it's a nice lake. You know, it's a shame I can't drive my 4x4 with my truck nuts over it. That would be better. I would like this lake a lot better if it was a bridge. Papa, you get a bridge. If you're like, hey, you this has a pothole. This road has a pothole. Bah, you get a new road. I don't even mean they're gonna fix that road. They're gonna build a whole new road right next to you. Personally, I have very mixed feelings about infrastructure stuff because, obviously you don't want key infrastructure to crumble to the point where it puts people's lives at risk. But that kind of maintenance should be done by the localities. And also, whenever you look at infrastructure as jobs creation, I really don't buy that because it's temp work. You're going to do a project. You're going to hire a bunch of people. You're going to take them out of the workforce when they could be getting careers, but then again, you give them experience. So I don't know. I have very mixed feelings about gigantic infrastructure things. And also, this is going to be Donald Trump inside of his own house. This is him putting populism over conservatism. Because conservatives hate these kinds of bills. They despise these kinds of bills because this is where the worst examples of pork barrel politics comes in. So let's also focus on the fact that it's hard for Democrats, no matter how much they want to hate Trump, it's going to be hard for them to go after infrastructure. It's going to be hard for them to say no, not even infrastructure. So it's kind of a really smart move. Because the Democrats want to make their brand F Trump. But if he starts off by saying, let's do this gigantic project that you can't say no to, it undermines their ability to be F Trump. So that's what I think his first thing is going to be. Here's my second thing. My second prediction. And this, I've seen nothing on this. I am totally going out on a limb. And I'll put a time limit on this. I'm going to say this is going to happen in the first year. Donald Trump, the 45th president of the United States. I still can't say that. It sounds so weird. Even Trump supporters. Trump supporters listening to this show. Honestly, it's kind of weird to say. Right? It just because it's so unlikely. Forget whether or not you hate him or you love him. It's just so unlikely. It just feels so weird to say Donald Trump, the 45th president of the United States. Donald Trump will take a big stand, be it through legislation or by way of him making a public support known on an issue. Will come out hard for gay rights. I don't know what the legislation will be. I don't know what the issue would be, but I know Peter Thiel will be involved. And there will be some statement of Donald Trump pushing hard for gay rights. This is my second prediction. This is probably the most controversial of them. W. Scott is one says it won't happen. Mike Pence. Man, this is me betting on Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump wants to be liked and wants to draw a line between himself and what a normal Republican is. He doesn't want to be a normal Republican. He wants to be Donald Trump. This is my prediction. All right? So it might be wrong, might be right. I think that it will be, again, my only other subsection to that is that he's going to involve Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel, of course, the legendary VC out here in Silicon Valley, was an early investor in Facebook. He founded PayPal. He's part of the PayPal mafia with Elon Musk. And here's why, all right? This is the method to my madness. At the Republican convention in Cleveland, Peter Thiel spoke before Donald Trump and made a point to say on stage, I am gay and I am a Republican and I'm proud of both. Paraphrasing. Donald Trump, during his speech, not part of the speech, ad-libbed, I was so happy that somebody came out on this stage and said they were proud to be gay and a Republican convention cheered it. I think this is going to happen. And here's why. Infrastructure, social progressiveness, both of these are the stands, the legs on the stand that is going to buoy something that will be the most difficult thing he will do in his first term. And that is this. And this is my third prediction. Donald Trump is going to go hard on sanctuary cities. If you're not familiar, let's go ahead and pull up exactly. I don't want to misspeak here. Here we go. Let's look it up on Wikipedia, huh? Shall we? A sanctuary city is a city in the United States or Canada that has adopted a policy of protecting undocumented immigrants by not prosecuting them solely for violating federal immigration laws in the country in which they are living illegally. Such a policy can be set out expressly by law or observed in practice, that is, du jour or de facto. The term applies generally to cities that do not use municipal funds or resources to enforce national immigration laws and usually forbid police or municipal employees to inquire about a person's immigration status. The designation has no precise legal meaning. California has the most sanctuary cities. They are Berkeley, Coachella, Los Angeles, Oakland, Sacramento, Salinas, San Bernardino, San Francisco, San Jose, Santa Alma, Watsonville, and Williams. No other state has even more than 3. Many have 2. Massachusetts has Cambridge, Chelsea, and Somerville, which are all Boston suburbs. So here's why I believe Donald Trump will be very, 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 very hard on sanctuary cities. And it is going to get ugly, by the way. Ugly, ugly, ugly. He's not going to build a wall. And by that I mean he will almost certainly go down to the border of Mexico with a gold shovel and dig a thing and then take a picture with a thumbs up with a MAGA hat on. That's going to happen, 150%. But even if he were to build a wall and got the money to build a wall as fast as he possibly could, he would not have a completed wall by the end of his first term, which means he's going to need an immigration victory because 2 things propelled him into the White House. Number 1, speaking to blue-collar workers and specifically eroding union support for the Democrats, and immigration. And they both tied to an economic message of there's a reason why you don't have your job, Rust Belt. And it's because of dumb policies that have nothing to do with you. And we're going to change that. Hashtag MAGA, 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 MAGA. So, he needs an immigration win. And I believe he thinks that he can frame sanctuary cities in a way that will play to the larger public, i.e., these are cities that have decided to run outside of federal law. And we are only doing our best as the federal government to bring everybody together so we can all play by the same rules. After all, isn't that what we want? The way that he will try to go after sanctuary cities is by pulling federal funding. This is the same way that we have a 21-year-old drinking limit. If you want to get a drink, you have to wait until you're 21. Why? States can set it wherever they want. Well, if they set it to anything other than 21, the federal government will pull their funding for their highway system. And so that's why no state wants to go out on the limb and be like, well, I mean, sure, I guess in principle, I think that if you're able to go to war, you should be able to have a beer. But, speaking of wars, I'm going to pick my battles. And this one is not worth losing federal funding for. This is a battle that's going to play out in California. Because, again, Berkeley, Coachella, Los Angeles, Oakland, Sacramento, Salinas, San Bernardino, San Francisco, San Jose, Santa Ana, Watsonville, and Williams. That's a lot of cities. It's a lot of federal funding that would be coming into the state of California that now would no longer be there. And by the way, these cities, let's even just focus on Berkeley, Los Angeles, and Oakland, San Francisco. These are loud cities. These are going to be very, very loud, big fights. And I really... Yeah, Open Bayou says Louisiana had it at 18 and kept it for a long time, even with the funding cut. Man, Louisiana's commitment for getting effed up and staying effed up is my favorite thing in the world. I love it. This is a disclaimer. I live in Oakland, California. I'm just letting you know, like, we riot here when somebody gets shot 14 states away, right? Like, if you think that Donald Trump's White House taking federal funding away from Oakland and San Francisco isn't going to be the event of the summer, the protest event of the summer, then, homie, we are not watching the same movie. It is going to be insane. From this vantage point, it's going to be a freak show. But he has to do it. And Donald Trump has to win. Because otherwise, he is going to be weak on immigration. Now, I don't exactly know where that will matter, aside from liberals looking at other liberals and saying, hey, what a hypocrite Donald Trump is. But if there is going to be a disillusionment from his base to Donald Trump, I believe immigration is the most likely place it would be. And we will see. But there we go. That is my three-step process. My three-step process. Jobs, gays, and sanctuary cities. I believe that those three things will happen in 2016 or 2017. We're done with 2016. Oh, man. I was just remembering, this year began with me setting up plane flights and events in Des Moines, Iowa for the caucus. We've come a long way, baby. We've come a long way. It's going to be insane. This going forward, man, I can't believe that we built this. I'm going to have a little moment here. Thank you guys so much for letting me do this. Like, I never thought in my life that I'd be able to just go, unless I was a reporter, that'd be able just to go to the caucus and the primary and just kind of be around that. Like, that was so fun. I had such a good time. I had such a good time bringing back all that information and talking to you guys. And then the whole BitTorrent news thing happening. Like, I just love you guys. DG Murdoch III says, what about net neutrality? I don't think that he is going to make that a priority. I think that all three of these things are going to be Donald Trump things. What his cabinet does, who knows? Although I do have a question about this cabinet. So, like, are they just going to have cabinet meetings in the locker room of the Mar-a-Lago Golf Club? Like, and I'm not saying that it's bad or good, right? I'm just saying, isn't it kind of weird that everybody who's getting appointed to something are all people that not only, like, live in Florida, but also probably frequent the Mar-a-Lago Golf Club? Like, it just seems that, like, this is, it's like he's at Mar-a-Lago, he's in the steam room, and he's just sort of like, oh, God, Secretary of the Army, the Florida Panthers owner, he was here 2 seconds, call him, he's having a club sandwich, just call him up, he's in the clubhouse right now, let me just, do you want to be Secretary of the Army? I know you have to make the game at 7. It's fine. It's just, like, I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll be great. Maybe it'll be awful. Like, I'm just saying that it just seems like a very specific kind of person. And listen, it's not like, you know, when traditional politicians came in, they didn't immediately staff all these positions with, you know, party loyalists and people who have fallen on swords and people who are absolutely there for the cause. Wisp Design says, please welcome to the presidential steam room. Oh my God. All right. What if he turned the Oval Office? Donald Trump. Picture this. Donald Trump turning the Oval Office into a steam room. And he's just, instead of sitting behind the desk, John F. Kennedy's desk, he's just sitting on it, like with the towel, right? And right next to him, you know, in between those famous 2 couches, he's got those rocks that you pour water on, like to get more steam. And it's just him and 5 other rich CEOs. And they're just like all sitting around with, like, you know, just one towel covering their shriveled balls. And they're just like, oh no, like, hey Rex, do another spoonful over the hot rocks for our presidential West Wing steam room. I don't know what about that makes me so happy. TVZ God says, ew, I'm picturing a shirtless Putin there as well. Justin R. Young, like when the male senators swam naked in the Senate pool. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they're just in the steam room. I feel like considering the physical builds of everybody who's in that cabinet, I don't know if there's a lot of physical activity beyond golf. I feel like golf is pretty much the max exertion of physical activity for that group of dudes. I think that they're just there. But you're right. Shirtless Putin would fit in effortlessly into the West Wing steam room. JC Calhoun says swimming equals exercise, so screw that. Yeah, no, I mean, you know, why? Why would you need to? You got everything you want, and now you're in the government. The one thing I will say about, all right, so let's talk about his cabinet for a second. Whiskey Wolf in the Diamond Club IRC. Mitt's the one who brings the fresh towels. Towel? Towel? Anybody? Freshie? Who wants a towel? The one thing you can say about his picks are that they are, like, he's getting the CEOs. Like, he's getting CEOs who have run the companies in there. It's not like he's getting the vice presidents or the COOs. I mean, I guess, well, no, even Linda McMahon. Linda McMahon's technically the CEO. Have we talked about Linda McMahon on this show? I guess it happened. Wreck in the Twitch chat. You can see Cruz is a cabana boy. No. Lotion? More lotion? For whatever reason, I'm seeing Ted Cruz as played by John Lovitz. I'm Ted Cruz, and I'm here to rub oil on backs. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, listen, everybody around me. I live in a very liberal area of the country. Most of my friends are extraordinarily liberal. And you look at who gets appointed to these positions, and this is the popular liberal thought, and I don't think that it's necessarily out of left field that everybody who's getting appointed to these cabinet positions seem bent and intent on destroying these departments. But I don't know. I mean, like, I just don't, and I don't think anybody can know how any of these people are going to react to government. Government's a very weird beast. But it has just been this, like, echoing liberal sentiments, a conservative sentiment since Perot, and before that, like Goldwater, that we need to start running the government like a business. We need to start running it like a business. And now we're going to see what that looks like. I mean, it's what we've seen, what people have wanted. We're going to see whether or not it's a thing. Like, but we're just going to. But I don't know if we can say that this is definitely going to happen, that anything is definitely going to happen. Because how do we know? How do we possibly know? One more thing that I do want to point out to everybody. I tweeted it out. So go ahead and check out my Twitter, twitter.com/Justin R. Young. This is a article by the Cook Report. Crocodile says, what kind of business? Because technically a pimp has a lucrative business model. This is, the Cook Political Report. Go to cookpolitical.com. He makes a point. This is all numbers breakdown. So just again, when we talk about the deli thin margin that this election was cut on, let's just realize exactly what I mean when I say deli thin. He makes the point. Effectively, 77,759 votes in 3 states in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan determined the presidency. The Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump won by 2,748 votes in Wisconsin, 0.7 of a point. To put into context, third-party candidates combined received over 188,000. 44,000 votes in Pennsylvania, again, another 0.7 of a point. Third-party candidates got over 200,000 there. And 10,000 votes in Michigan, a 0.2 percent of a point. Third-party candidates received $250,000. $250,000. Now, here's where you drill down, and it's more interesting. Just 3 counties, Macomb County, Michigan, York County, Pennsylvania, and Waukesha County, Wisconsin, elected Donald Trump. If those 3 counties had cast 0 votes, Trump would have lost all 3 states and the election. By the same logic, just 3 counties re-elected President Obama in 2012. Born and raised in Miami-Dade, Florida, Cuyahoga County, Ohio, and Philly, Pennsylvania. So now let's look at this. Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton carried the popular vote by more than 2.8 million votes and 2.1 percentage points. All right, look at that. But while she narrowly improved on President Obama's margin in non-swing states, 4.1% to 4%, she vastly underperformed in the 13 swing states that actually mattered. Obama's 3.6% margin in those states morphed into a 1.8% Trump lead. So whenever we get into this like revisiting the election, the numbers are in. We know what happened. Hillary Clinton underperformed in counties that she needed to perform in. Donald Trump overperformed in counties that he needed to perform in. Hillary Clinton was viewed by swing state voters, not the general public. California was doing backflips for the Hill Dog. Swing state voters did not like Hillary Clinton as much as they liked Donald Trump. Donald Trump won the swing states by a point. He got blown out in the popular vote, did very, very, very well in the swing state vote. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much we need to keep going over this. I know I tend to keep wanting to go over it just because, again, I love elections more than I love governing. Because it's like, I mean, I don't know. Do you guys want me to talk about this North Carolina thing? In the chat, just let me know. Do you want me to? Because I don't know a lot about it. I generally do not. I don't know a lot about the North Carolina thing. I can learn more about it, but in general, it's always going to come back to I think that politicians are weird, spineless animal people, and they will do anything for power, and they will try to snipe at each other. And it's not to say that I think one side's good and one side's bad. I think people who want to get into politics on a regular basis are weird, and they do weird, awful things. So I can talk about it. I'll read about it. I can talk about it more next week, but I don't know a lot about it now, and I'm just going to let you know that if you guys do want me to talk about this, like, this is one of the things that, like, it's just not my strong suit. I'll try to be smart for you guys, but I don't know. You can email the show, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Again, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Matt writes, so you explain spear phishing as somebody sending you a ton of spam that looks like your bank, eBay, PayPal, whatever. That is phishing. Spear phishing is a subset of phishing that is more precise. It's targeted phishing for a specific person. So if I were phishing, I would spam 1 million emails out that look like PayPal's. If I were spear phishing you specifically, I dig into your history, impersonate somebody that you would trust, say a person in your IT department that spoke to you on a weekly, monthly basis, and getting you to disclose information. So while it's still lazy, it's not quite as lazy as I made it out to be. Yeah, well, thank you so much for writing in. This was about the Podesta hacks, in which I was saying I made the daring hot take last week that not only do I not necessarily think John Podesta getting spearphished is, even if it was done maliciously by Russians specifically to get Donald Trump into office, is that big of a deal, because I believe we should be spearphishing everybody else on the planet. Because ultimately, although it is espionage on some level, it's fairly low-level espionage. And yes, it's not just blasting out 1 million different things. You are targeting somebody. But if you are a high-value person in a government or a campaign, and you are not taking extraordinary measures with your email to the point where you get hacked in a spear phishing attempt, then, I mean, them's the breaks, right? Get better. We got to get better. Because this ain't gonna stop. I'm just letting everybody know. Foreign governments, the Russians, are not going to stop trying to spearfish people. By the way, rival campaigns are not going to stop trying to spearfish each other. Like, we're just in that world. It's just like checking your car doors to make sure that you lock them. Because if you leave a bunch of sensitive information in a backpack in the back of your car with your door wide open, then someone's going to take it, and they're probably going to use it for malicious means. That's just my 2 cents. Dave writes, I'll fully admit that I'm not a Trump man, but the one glimmer of hope was that he would shake things up in terms of draining the swamp. But per Newt Gingrich, he said this morning, I'm told now he just disclaims that. This is about drain the swamp, right? The phrase drain the swamp. Newt Gingrich speaking for Donald Trump. I'm told now that that he just disclaims that. He now says it was cute, but he doesn't want to use the term drain the swamp anymore, said Gingrich, who informally advises Trump on Wednesday's morning edition on NPR. Dave continues, there were people upset with the drain the swamp thing. Good, they should be. If the only change from Trump is sounding different but acting like any other Republican politician, like with the F-35 or the new Air Force One, if he tweets but no change in how work is done, then the Trump faithful hold his feet to the fire? Has the radioactiveness of D.C. turned the swamp drainer into swamp thing? Well, this kind of, this kind of goes to the idea of what people think the swamp is. Because there's a couple ways that I could see. All right, so number one, before we even go into this, let's all acknowledge that we are going to spend a lot of time talking about something that Newt Gingrich spent 5 milliseconds thinking of speaking to Morning Edition. Newt Gingrich will do any press opportunity that you put in front of him. In fact, we should test that claim by putting in a press request for this podcast for Newt Gingrich. Because it is my belief that he will do any press that is put in front of him, including this show and all 8 of our listeners. So, on any level, in terms of taking it seriously, let's just understand that he talks a lot. This is somebody who, when he was doing well running for president 4 years ago, casually mentioned that we want to have moon colonies. Okay? So let's understand that sometimes he just says things. Past that, I could understand for Donald Trump, him believing, saying, hey, drain the swamp, drain the swamp, drain the swamp, makes it hard for then him to do business with people in D.C. And he's a guy who very much values his ability to go into any room and get a deal done. So maybe it's that. Maybe it's the most cynical version of it, which is to say, yeah, I got these, rubes to buy my shtick about draining the swamp. Now let's all pack in here like our crypto oligopoly, and let's descend on the corpse of America and feed off its financial lifeblood until it is nothing but an empty husk. Maybe it's that. Or maybe Newt Gingrich doesn't know what he's talking about. I mean, everything is on the table. But the drain the swamp thing I always thought was very interesting when he first said it, because it went hand in hand with term limits, which I didn't get initially. But eventually, I kind of was able to grok the idea that no, this is about career politicians. This is about lobbyists. This is about the revolving door between Congress and K Street. It's that kind of stuff. If that's what drain the swamp is to you or to Donald Trump, then the idea that he's putting a bunch of CEOs in there is not the end of the world, because they're new blood. They're not the same people. Wisp aside, drain the swamp, fog the steam room. Cole writes, I figured I'd pass this story on to you. My girlfriend, Lindsay S., was on the North Carolina Assembly event last week. Might be a worthy topic for you guys to discuss. Not sure if you've been following it, but it's at least worth a read. You can also tag her at Lindsay Kelly's. Good luck, as always. Well, Cole, I'm going to link the article, but I don't know enough. But I'm assuming that Lindsay did a great job. John writes, apparently Julian Assange is alive, and he thinks that all this CIA stuff is a load of baloney. John then links to a Fox News article. How crazy is it that Fox News is the only major outlet that will still directly ask Julian Assange what he thinks about stories about him? WikiLeaks basically came to prominence by being Rupert Murdoch's worst nightmare, and now they're the only ones still asking WikiLeaks where their info came from. All right. You want to know what? Two things are true. All right? Both of these things can absolutely be true. I don't trust Julian Assange as far as I can throw his weird Matrix sequel villain haircut. And people should be asking Julian Assange what he thinks about stuff. Like, he deserves to be asked. I don't trust him. He deserves to be asked. I think he's a liar. He deserves to be asked. I think he's a look-at-me glory boy. He deserves to be asked. Because that's the point of things. So, John, you're right. I think that it is good that Julian Assange is being asked, and whatever outlet decides to do it, that's fine. That's fine. I think he's a liar. I think he at least got a part of that information from people that had ties to Russia. I don't know whether or not he was aware of it, how much he knows, but I think that he did on some level. All right, let's get into an email from Tiny Brian. Tiny Brian writes, and now we're going to get into an element of the show. I feel like we need some kind of like sounder or something, right? But just in our greater search to understand every element of globalization and globalism and the differences between the two, we stumbled upon the idea that in the book of Revelations, there is mythos tied to the idea of a one world government, and that some people take it more seriously than others. So we had Tiny Brian initially wrote in with this idea, and then somebody else wrote in and said, hey, people don't read that literally. And then other people wrote in and said, yeah, no, thank God he said that. People do think of this stuff literally. So this is Tiny Brian writing in again. I was gratified to hear the responses to my recent messages about a lot of evangelical Christians' visceral fear and hatred for globalization. I'm happy for the fellow listener who saw none of this fear in his Southern Baptist church. I went to a Southern Baptist college with a passing interest in eschatology. I managed to complete 12 college hours of work on the subject in 3 years. When I got out of school, my first interview with the church's pastor for a position lasted nearly 90 minutes, and the lion's share of discussion focused on carefully parsing out my full view of biblical future history. To further illustrate evangelical Christians' fear of the elements around globalization, I present the following screenshots from a cousin of mine expressing fear over a recent bill passing that puts us closer to the mark of the beast. And so I will now read from a screen grab from mobile Facebook. It still amazes me when I know the Spirit of the Lord spoke to me at an early age that the mark of the beast, as stated in Revelations, and this mark will be on the forehead and the hand, and you will use this to buy and sell. And this was always portrayed as a scary thing with a gun to the head. But I felt that it was a good thing to be considered, that it was going to be considered a good thing, and it will seemingly benefit your life, even to the point that if you do not get it, you will be considered negligent as parents. Get people used to it for their animals to track them for health care. Now the disabled, then babies, and parents if you don't do it. Get people using it for financial transactions, health care, tracking, losing weight. However, please don't get it, no matter how appealing. It may help this life, but you will never be able to receive grace from God, and eternal hell will be your destiny. No escape. We go back to Tiny Brian. Listen to the pathos in her words. The article she's discussing is linked below in case your subscription to Charisma magazine has recently lapsed. And the article is, the headline is, House passes a microchipping law that is intended to help local authorities microchip disabled people. My last comment to you, Justin, is the same I made to my cousin. There is only one revelation. Please do not call the last book of the New Testament Revelations. It's a pet peeve of mine. It's the Revelation. Thank you for your continuing work, Tiny Brian. Well, thank you so much. And I'm glad that it was about microchipping and not wearables. Because, I mean, come on. Like, they're in a rough enough spot as it is. You know, Fitbit's trying to just make a living out here. You know, they don't need to be the mark of the beast, too. Thaddeus continues on our revelations. First, believing in a literal book of Revelation is pretty common. A lot of Christians will keep quiet about it because it makes them seem crazy. I'd put money down that Mike Pence believes in a literal book of Revelation. Second, even if a Christian does not believe Revelation literally, they often believe in the concept as some sort of end times. This is similar to how many Christians do not think that God made the world in 6 days, 6,000 years ago, but do believe that God is responsible for creating the universe. Third, belief in end times is a major part of climate change denial. Some Christians believe that the rapture will happen and the world will end within their lifetimes, so even the climate change won't matter. Others believe that God has the power to bring about the end times and that man is incapable of creating worldwide catastrophe. Fourth, saying that being afraid of the end times is unchristian is ridiculous. There are entire books of the Bible, not just Revelation. Read up on your prophets that warn of the horrors of the end times. You can't call someone unchristian that is literally taught in the Bible. Christianity started as a doomsday cult with a persecution complex and is still one today. Well, I mean, obviously that last line is editorial. But hey, I'm excited about this kind of stuff. This is the kind of stuff I always like. I was raised Methodist, which the line I've always had about Methodist is that it's very easy to go from Methodist to atheist with a long nap. You know, you went to church, take a nap, wake up. Maybe I don't believe in God. Okay, and you can tell your Methodist friends. I don't think I'm coming to church anymore. And they're like, okay, cool. Do you want to get together and watch the game? Like, it's not exactly the most strict, stringent religion on the planet. However, I'm always fascinated with how culture in general and religion specifically affects worldviews. Like, there is a strong Christian, a strong Christian element to the Israeli-Palestinian situation, because the idea of the Jews getting their homeland is very important for many Christians. So, I don't know. Look that up. Finally, our last email comes from Christopher. So, in the land of funny what ifs, I started thinking that the GOP is hoping that the Electoral College will make history and shift the numbers enough for the Senate to make the vote. The GOP will then get to say that they beat Hillary but saved us all from Trump. This will never happen, of course. But then Trump was never going to win the 2016 election either. And this year must have just been the year of Cthulhu. And that is Christopher from the only city that matters in Ohio, which I am assuming is Columbus. Man, they came, they saw, they conquered. The Electoral College is out for another 4 years. Donald J. Trump is our president. And as we move into this Christmas season, and my voice has held up for the entire episode, all I can say is I am very, 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 very thankful for everybody for listening and watching on any platform that you choose to watch it on every device, every podcatcher, every time. Man, I've seen a bunch of folks just replying other political podcasts saying, hey, you need to pay attention to politics. People who are tweeting out top 10 lists and saying, hey, that's incomplete if PX3 isn't on it. Thank you guys so much. It really just does mean the world to me. You can email this show at theyoungamerican@gmail.com. You can buy The Contender at thecontender.us. Buy it now if you want to get it by Christmas. Music provided by Valesco and Trop Killers. And please follow me everywhere, Justin R. Young. If you are on Twitch, it is twitch.tv/Justin R. Young as well. Of course, you can download archived episodes of this show at bonerwars.com. Have yourself a merry little Christmas, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you guys next week. Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.